Knock on the door. A white woman answers the door, looks me up and down and says, I'm guessing Takutwa owes you a MacBook or something like that. My jaw drops.
Hey beautiful people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. So this video is the part 2 video I posted previously of the sister who was sharing a story of how she was scammed by a black Tinder swindler. That's what she called him, and she went on to give really more details on what's going on. So if you haven't seen the part 1, go check out the part 1 so that you catch up with the story and get full context of what the story is. So apparently this sister was scammed by somebody she met online. This guy was portraying himself to be a doctor, a rich, wealthy, well-traveled and all that, and eventually he was able to get money out of her, and now she's trying to get the money back, and then she's beginning to find out a whole lot of things, a whole lot of shady things, how she's not the first person he has scammed, and it's a crazy story, guys. Go check out the part 1 so you catch up with the story, because right now she's going on another level, how she was able to find out more details of the scam and how elaborate this entire scam was. Guys, like I said, if you haven't seen the part 1, go see the part 1 so you catch up, okay? You catch up, okay? Before we continue the story time, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, now is the perfect time for you to smash the subscribe button there, okay? Hit the subscribe button there and click the notification bell so that you get notified once I upload videos, because I post videos every single day, daily content, 2 videos daily, and you don't want to miss out on the conversation and the story time we talk about here on this channel, okay? So go ahead and subscribe. With that all said, guys, let's go check out the video and then we'll come back and talk more.
This is how I discovered that Takutwa Chinguza, the black Tinder swindler, was scamming me and many other black girls out of tens of thousands of pounds. I hear it, 10-minute video, let's try and make this happen. I'm guessing you're here for a MacBook or an Apple product. When I say my jaw dropped, and in that moment it started clicking, what was going on? And I responded, yes, how do you know? And she said, many girls who are young, black, come knocking, looking for Takutwa, saying that they were promised some kind of Apple products. I couldn't gasp. I didn't even have it in me to gasp. And she said, you might want to try and knock 2 doors down over to your right and see if Takutwa was home. Then I realized Takutwa had covered the address with his stamp so that I wouldn't know exactly what door number he lived at, but I was very close. I walked 2 doors down. It's a pretty nice house. I knock on the door. A 90-year-old white man answers the door. And I'm like, what is this wild goose chase? This man has nothing to do with Takutwa. Does Takutwa Chinguza live here? And he said, oh, one moment. And I thought, okay, I'm getting close. Remember, Takutwa said his mom was in America. His mom was always busy. She was a high-flying surgeon. She was an American. And guess who answers the door? Guess who this 90-year-old white man gets to answer the door? Takutwa's mum. This 90-year-old white man and this 50-year-old quite good-looking black woman, they're in a relationship, which I'm not really going to say what 2 and 2 I was putting together, but let's just say it was starting to look like it was running in the family. So I say to Takutwa's mum, is Takutwa here? And she starts to get so defensive, tries to shut the door in my face, saying, no, Takutwa isn't here, Takutwa isn't here. I literally put my foot in the door and I say, where is Takutwa? Because at this point, I'm on smoke. Like, I'm like, you know where Takutwa is? You're Takutwa's mum. Takutwa's not here. I haven't seen him in years. We're arguing back and forth. And at some point, I literally have to calm myself down and say, okay, what we're doing is ridiculous and unproductive. Let's actually have a conversation. At this point, she invites me into the house. This woman tells me that she hasn't seen Takutwa in years. She's estranged from her son. She doesn't know why he's doing this scam operation, and she has absolutely nothing to do with it. What can I do at this stage? If this is what she's telling me, what can I do? Even if she's lying, there's nothing I can do or say. All I realize at this point is that I'm not getting my £200 back. I'm not getting my £640 back. I'm not getting my £400 back. And at this point, it's still not really dropping that everything was a lie. It's still not really, like, the penny's not really dropping. So anyway, at this point, we've discovered that Takutwa's lied about his address, that his mum is not American. She has an African accent just like he does. She's living in the UK with a 90-year-old white man with a trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. I can't even get to my car before I message Takutwa, what the f***? Everything was a lie. And he says, what do you mean everything was a lie? Sorry, I was just busy. And I said, I'm at your mum's house. He just typed, I'm so sorry. And at this point, I'm like, why? If you needed money, why didn't you just tell me? I would have helped you and given you money. It's still not clicked that the character is also a lie. And I said to him, at this point, I'm going to have to go to the police. And he said, go to the police then. That response, that cocky response, told me everything I needed to know. This was something he was doing on a daily, and he knew that the police weren't really going to interfere in any kind of way. So then immediately after Takutwa tells me, go to the police then, he blocks me. I'm blocked out of his life. I'm realizing I'm not getting this money back. So I drive all the way home to London. Honestly, my mind is a bit frazzled and fried, but I immediately get on my laptop and start doing some investigation work because I have to work out what happened. So I go home and the first thing I think is, what's the deal with this Emirates ticket? Because I saw the email from Emirates and it was a real email that was forwarded from Emirates. So I call Emirates because I noticed that on the email, Takutwa has left his frequent flyer number, the ticket number. And so I call Emirates and I say, hey, I just want to know if everything's in good order with my ticket. This is my passenger name. This is the ticket number. You know what Emirates tell me? The ticket was never paid off. How? How do you ask? Apparently, Emirates has a scheme where you can basically reserve a ticket where they give you a confirmation as though you've purchased the ticket, and then you have about 3 days to pay the ticket off. If the ticket is not paid off in 3 days, then the ticket gets dissolved. But in the interim, you do get a genuine confirmation from Emirates. And I think this is if you're part of the frequent flyer program. So the ticket that he sent me that got me to send him that £640 that I spoke about, yeah, that ticket was never paid for, ever. And I didn't know that Emirates had this scheme because I've never done like a buy now, pay later flight like process. At this point, I just need to pause and remind you that this was the same kind of ticket that he was going to give my mum to go to her dead mother's funeral, which would have left her at Heathrow or Gatwick Airport without an actual ticket to Ghana. He was willing for my mum to miss her dead mother's funeral on her way to Ghana. Like, do you understand how sick this guy is? So the next thing I do is I call my boyfriend at the time, because my boyfriend at the time was a doctor. Mind you, Takutwa and I were never in a romantic relationship. For all of you men who've jumped in my comments to say, tell him, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And he asked me, is this guy even a real doctor? It has never occurred to me that someone who's my friend would tell me their job and that occupation is simply not their true occupation. So then he tells me, you know that you can check if someone is a registered doctor in the UK just by looking on the GMC register, and that's publicly available. This is not information I knew. Remember, I was not a med student yet. I wasn't a doctor yet. I didn't know. So then I type in his full name on the GMC register. Guess what? Guess what? There's no doctor of that age and name match that comes up on the GMC register. Takutwa Chinguza is officially not a doctor. Next thing, I think to myself, well, I've graduated from Cambridge before, so I know that Cambridge publishes a public class list for everyone who's previously graduated from the university. You might ask, why didn't I check the Cambridge registration before? And what friend would double check every bit of information their friend tells them about their life? Like, so I checked the Cambridge registration, the Cambridge class list. Takutwa Chinguza never graduated from the University of Cambridge. I do some digging, I do some digging. I find out that Takutwa Chinguza graduated from Swansea University with a degree in computer science. Everything is starting to crumble. In a previous part, I told the story about how Takutwa introduced this character, Michelle, who he was lending £10,800 to, and she was paying him back in installments to pay off £12,500. But remember, I said that he asked PayPal for a refund, but he never showed me him talking to Michelle about getting a refund. So I'm assuming that this Michelle character is somehow a sick and twisted part of his scam. One error Takutwa made, and one place where he effed up, was sending me a screenshot of Michelle, not only of their WhatsApp conversations, but also of their Instagram conversations, where I could see her Instagram handle. So I searched her up on Instagram, found her and DM'd her. And I was basically on smoke saying, hi Michelle, these are the things I know about you. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Takutwa is a scammer. And if you block me, then you're a scammer too. So I would basically reply if I were you. So she replies saying she has no idea that Takutwa was a scammer. To her, he's always been good. He's paid off her uni fees, yada, yada, yada. So we get on the phone and we have a very long phone conversation to basically, I ask her as much as I can about Takutwa. At this point, Michelle and Takutwa are still really close and trusted friends. I uncover that Takutwa is indeed Zimbabwean. And this is something that she knows because she herself is from the south side of Africa. So he would not be able to lie to her about what part of Africa he's from because she would be able to recognize that lie. But the main thing that I discover is that Takutwa never told Michelle that he requested a refund. At this point in time, Michelle's under the full impression that Takutwa has paid for uni fees and she's therefore paying him money back to pay him back for this £10,800 that he spent on her, when he's never spent that money on her because I have the receipts of the PayPal transfer back to his account. So basically, he's scamming Michelle out of £12,500 by not telling her that he's requested a refund. And by the time that she would get the notification about the refund, she would have already graduated because her graduation has already happened at this point and she'd be in Africa. So she might not even get that notification and she would just be paying money to Takutwa. Like, this is too much. So at this stage, I think the smartest thing to do is to tell Michelle not to break up her friendship with Takutwa, not to give away the fact that she knows that this is basically a scam, okay? So I say to her, you tell Takutwa that you want to meet up with him in Cambridge, in the shopping centre, at a restaurant to give him money in cash. What's going to happen is, I'm going to turn up. I'm going to rock up. You don't even have to be involved if you don't want to be involved. So in between the time that Michelle and I have this phone call and the day of the sting operation, I call one of my friends from my old school. And I can tell you one thing about my old school. I went to a very diverse school with a lot of intimidating guys, okay? So I call one of these intimidating guys and say, this is what's happened with me. You basically have to roll with me because Takutwa needs to be shaken in his boots when I confront him. And he says, say no more, he's coming. Takutwa is now £10,800 down. Remember, in all of the intros, I kept talking about how myself and several other black girls got scammed. Well, at some point, many years later, I actually told this story on Clubhouse. And once I told this story on Clubhouse, and there was a little bit of backlash towards Takutwa on Twitter, it meant that every time someone got a bit suspicious about Takutwa Chinguza, because he was in the middle of scamming them, they would Google his name and what would come up? My Twitter handle. So I used to get so many DMs from girls saying, oh my goodness, I live in Cambridge, I live in Peterborough, I live in Ipswich, I've been scammed, I've been scammed, I've been scammed, I live in South Africa, I've been scammed. I can't even go back and screenshot all of the DMs because there are just so many of them. Since starting to upload this playlist series, whatever you want to call it, the amount of people that have DM'd me on TikTok to say that they've been scammed, they were about to be scammed. He's even leaked someone's nudes because he couldn't get money out of them. Like, you need to understand that this scam is so much bigger than myself and then Michelle. Until this day, Takutwa Chinguza is still operating. And so what I want more than anything, apart from the fact that I've switched on my creator program, monetization for the first time, and I hope that all of these parts give me some kind of compensation, I actually hope that this story blows up purely so that Takutwa Chinguza can't operate, because everyone will know that he's a scammer. Everyone will know his face and know what he looks like, and everyone will know that he's a scammer so that he can't scam anymore. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Takutwa Chinguza, the black Tinder swindler, was able to scam me and several other black girls out of tens of thousands of pounds. I'm so glad to be done with this. Goodbye. So it's been a few days since I posted the story on Takutwa Chinguza, the Tinder swindler scammer who scammed several girls out of tens of thousands of British pounds. And as glad and grateful as I am that I've been able to share the story and contribute to inhibiting Takutwa from being able to carry out these scams, I'm gravely disappointed with some of the comments. I tried to do my best to pitch it at a level that I thought was appropriate for everyone on this app to be able to understand. I now understand that I overestimated the interpretation and extrapolation skills of many of you on this internet. What I can say is that I am extremely grateful for the fact that I have lots of sisters who I send and share all of the screenshots with when things are happening in my life. And so I've gone back to dig up some of these screenshots, which will help me clarify some of the frequently left comments, just as to divert some of the attention away from nitty-gritty details in the story that I counted, so that all of the attention can be put back onto the focus of the story, which is the fact that Takutwa Chinguza is a scammer. So firstly, yes, Takutwa Chinguza had a girlfriend all along. His girlfriend's name is Stephanie Louise Williams. I'm also going to circle relevant timestamps just so you guys can see that this was all the way back in 2018, and this is not something that I have now retrospectively gone to obtain. What's the basis of my relationship with Takutwa, romantic or friendship? I've clarified multiple times in the story that the basis of our relationship was friendship based, and it was grounded in our mutual interest in medicine. Here is a text message from Takutwa trying to rearrange and reschedule the internship that we had arranged. The tone of this message is very clearly not romantic. And here is a screenshot of a message between me and my actual boyfriend at the time. Two things I can say about this. For one, this is clearly much more of a romantic tone. This is the person that I was seeing romantically. But for two, there's also a clear indication in this message that this is early stages of dating, which brings me on to point number two. The reason that my partner at the time was not relevant to the story all the way throughout the story is because my partner at the time is someone that I started dating in July. If you remember back to, I think, part one, Takutwa Chinguza made initial contact with me in July, which means that I knew Takutwa just as well as I knew my boyfriend. And so there was nothing discriminating between who I would go for medical advice. I was just as happy to go to Takutwa as I was to the person I was romantically seeing. Furthermore, the person I was romantically seeing was also graduating that same month. And so he was not in a position to offer an internship. Takutwa, who claimed to have an established career in medicine, was much more in a position to offer an internship. Some questions about why I entitled this a Tinder Swindler if this was indeed not a romantic relationship. You have to understand that if my main goal is for this story to reach as many people, I have to try and narrate, title and caption this entire story in a way that appeals to TikTok and the algorithm. So I strategically named this the Tinder Swindler because, for one, it helps to indicate what this story is going to be about, because a lot of people are familiar with the Tinder Swindler story from Netflix. And for two, I just think it's a much more catchier name that I anticipated would catch on. I do think I've managed to reach a lot more people in doing so, which means a lot more people now know Takutwa's name, a lot of people now know Takutwa's face, and a lot more people can be prevented from being scammed by Takutwa. Lastly, I want to address some people claiming the story sounds too improbable because of the story that details the tuition fees that were paid on behalf of Michelle by Takutwa, or supposedly paid, where Takutwa then later tried to claim a refund from PayPal. I can't speak on behalf of PayPal how this works internally. All I can say is that Takutwa tried to claim a refund. According to Michelle, the refund was not processed by her university, and Michelle did indeed receive a confirmation from Anglia Ruskin. Perhaps Takutwa has used this scam before on other products or other items where he was easily and successfully able to claim a refund via PayPal. Perhaps the internal system within Anglia Ruskin University means that a PayPal refund cannot be claimed as easily. That's me using my interpretation skills. I'm going to leave you to use your own, but I cannot, as someone who doesn't and has never worked at PayPal, answer that question fully for you. So now that I've addressed a few things, I think that I'm able to leave this story here. I think I've done my duty in spreading awareness about Takutwa Chinguza. His face and his tactics will be a lot more recognizable in the future. There are several people with several more stories. This story is so much more than just that I was scammed by someone I assumed to be a friend. What this story should actually serve as is an indication that the scale of this is actually a lot bigger than the two stories that I've referenced. Some of the DMs that I've received from women who have given accounts of their own stories and encounters with Takutwa Chinguza have been genuinely heartbreaking. People have been left stranded in cities that they're not familiar with. People have had near sexual assault. People's children have been dragged into this. This is truly not really a funny story. Although elements of my encounter and my story of Takutwa are laughable and funny, overall, this is not a laughable and funny character. This is a character that has genuinely had a destructive impact on some people's livelihoods. And I don't really think that that's anything that we should be attempting to dilute or minimize. We should use this as an opportunity to try and reduce, inhibit, and stop Takutwa. What I will say is that from what I gather, what I've detailed, that is only the least of ways in which Takutwa has screwed people over. Other than that, I hope that this has all served a good purpose and I can now live my happy life, as it were.
Please go down in the comment section, share your thoughts about this story down in the comment section. But please, like always keep it respectful, okay? So please go ahead, share your thoughts, but be respectful. Here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we'll do it in a respectful way. So go ahead, feel free and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think and your own take on this. But yeah, I just find this story very, very, very interesting. And this, a lot of the time, we usually feel like this is a smart. I'm happy that she is actually making more awareness on this, because more people are just going to fall into the same scam over and over again, except there's a whole lot of awareness on this. And this is to say that clearly some people do this for fun and they don't really care how it's going to hurt anybody. But there's one thing I want to say to people, my people, you guys, okay, is that please be careful out there, on especially even physically. Just be careful, because clearly for a Chakotua to be able to book a ticket from her, so probably she sent him a passport page or something. Those are very, very sensitive information for you to be passing on to people and all that. Just be very careful about the people you let in, both even physically online. Just be very, very careful, because some people are coming with ill intention. Some people, they are going to work on your mind, manipulate you to trust them. Don't be trust. One thing I would say forever: always trust your instinct. Always trust your gut. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. If it doesn't add up in your head that the first time, don't convince yourself that it adds up. Just run. If it doesn't feel right, don't. And you always pray for your own people to align with you, because clearly these are things that happen all the time. We've seen the Tinder Swlinder. If you haven't seen the Tinder Swlinder, you know what it is like. People kind of pass on as what they are not, and most times people believe them. And anything that has to do with you transferring money not do this, just be very skeptical about it, like especially somebody that you don't know too well, like well, just be very skeptical about it, because when it comes to money transaction, you don't want to put yourself in a place where you are stranded. No matter how juicy and how tempting whatever that person is selling to you, take it with a pinch of salt. Take it with a pinch of salt. Don't make away with money or things that if it goes, it's going to affect your life. And don't. That's one of my rules. Even in terms of even borrowing money, giving people money, I don't give money that I can let go, or money that if it doesn't come back to me, it's going to affect my life and some of my decisions in life. Like, don't do that. Even with don't part with money that you cannot let go. If you're not the one in control of that money, don't part with it if you know you can let it go. Anyway, guys, I love to know your own take about this story time down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful. Share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see and join in the conversation, and even know who Takotua Chibuzor is, so that it doesn't scam more black women. So go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and share it, okay? And that also help this channel, okay, and this girl here. So go ahead and do that too, okay? Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.